All right, so welcome to the.
No,
No.
no, that's not how this starts, and you know it. Edie gives us the scientist find.
That's right. I got a science find
Tell
for
me
you.
about the science.
And I gotta tell you, I've been on a real kick on this. I've got quite a few of them lined up now that are pretty good. This one centers around archaeology. It comes to us from The Independent, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite sources for clickbait bunk science. Although this one was also cross-posted on the Daily Mail, so you know it's good. Scientists ask, was Stonehenge a phallic temple? New study suggests Keystone represents a giant penis.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And this was done. There was a research study carried out by Professor Terence Meaden. And I've had some difficulty finding a whole lot of information about Professor Terence, but what I can find is that he seems to be an Oxford professor with 2 degrees in physics.
Fascinating.
And so I'm not entirely sure how he got involved in Stonehenge research, but he's got some pretty specific claims, including that this particular standing stone was likely a 2.6 meter erect male member, equipped at its upper end with an 80 centimeter long glans or bulbous tip.
Oh my god.
He also claims that the stone appears to have been cut to simulate human skin.
Is he saying that the stone is veiny? Is that what he's
I can't find the actual research paper that he has done for this, so I cannot validate any of these claims. I will say, as you go through both the Independent and the Daily Mail article, they eventually get to a point where they start talking about the fact that there are no other phallic-shaped stones in structures like this anywhere near Stonehenge. However, they all mention that there are smaller phallic-shaped stones that have been found, quote, in the area. And then, as an example of these phallic-shaped stones in the area, they use a picture of a statue that's, I'm just going to say it, the statue is jerking off.
Oh my god.
However, this statue was from 7,000 years earlier in Turkey. So I don't know that any of this could possibly be true. But, you know, that's what we got.
You know, your measure as a society is really what you leave behind.
Oh my god. The real. Oh god. People. Yeah. Yeah. Today we're gonna play with the form a little bit.
No, now we do introductions. Come on.
God,
You're playing with the form too much. You got to start with your name.
All right.
And don't forget the rules.
Welcome, listener, to Ridiculous Research Review. I'm James Lynch, PhD.
Nope. You owe me at least $150 on that one.
I'm Dr. James Lynch, PhD.
Oh, still. There's like $100 right there. You're still missing letters, James. I want the full introduction.
I don't deserve this. The abuse or the prestige. I am Dr. James Lynch, PhD, PE. I'm an engineer.
Thank you.
Yeah. I am Pat Brennan. I am a professor of theater technology and a game designer.
I am Edie Churchill. I am a nonprofit administrator, and among other things.
And I am tired. So this has been. I had a long week, y'all, and So we're gonna play with the form a little bit. This is a bit of a. We're gonna just do a taste from a variety of studies, focused on one particular method that is a little ridiculous, but I think kind of wonderful. And that is, it's a slight twist on the format. We'll see how it goes. but it only required me looking up a whole bunch of videos, which I will of course share. I will of course share the full set of links to all these videos so that you can enjoy along with us at home. Starting with the inspiration for this, I am going to share my screen for my dear friends. The inspiration for this is a wonderful little video of a shrimp, a Atlantic white shrimp, on a treadmill in a little aquarium tank. And this little fella has so many legs and
look at him go.
is just sprinting along.
You're doing a good job.
Just look at him go. He's like semi-transparent. He's a white shrimp, like a white shrimp just because that's what you describe it. Really, you can see all of his guts. You can see it straight through him. And he's in this tank.
I don't like the way that it moves.
Yeah, they're just running along.
I feel like a Game Boy Advance shrimp would be a better description.
Was it?
A Game Boy Advance shrimp would be a better description.
Yeah, totally.
You can see all of his inner bits.
So you can see all like the little claws. It's an incredible little video. And this is putting a shrimp on a treadmill seems wild. I would love some guesses as to why would you put a shrimp on a treadmill?
His wife told him he needed exercise.
I don't know. My entire context of this video is that I think that there was like a senator mad about it because
This was in the news recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's why anybody knows about this.
I think this is... I assume this is a shrimp stress test.
You got it exactly right. Yeah. Because this
is...
damn! Actually, you did great. Pat, that's exactly right as well. This is a thing that has become well known because has been targeted by the evil version of our podcast. Our podcast is celebrating the weird shit that scientists do for research purposes.
Correct.
There's also a whole other type of dude who is often like in the House of Representatives and doesn't want to do any real work, so just like goes through the NIH databases and finds something that seems silly and then goes on Fox News and talks about it. And this is the type of guy that goes back to the 80s where they talked about like horseshoe crabs and stuff, which by the way, like somebody got like a Nobel Prize in medicine for that work eventually. So like, this shit is weird, taken out of context. And in this case, if you're listening along at home, at one point in this video, like 45 seconds, they zoom in on this shrimp. And if you look closely at the part of the shrimp right behind the head where the gills are, there's a black spot. And it turns out that is a disease in shrimp that is exacerbated by climate change, meaning when there's less oxygen in the water, when there is higher temperatures in the water, and there are particular bacteria. And what they're actually doing, and then in the title of this paper, is they were looking at the effects of black gill disease on the respiration of Penaeus setiferus, the Atlantic white shrimp, during activity and hypoxia treadmill studies. And essentially what they found is that they didn't find any difference in respiration issues for these shrimp when they were just kind of hanging out. But they did find that if you put them on a treadmill, which they learned that you could do, that was not something somebody knew, that a shrimp would run on a treadmill.
That a shrimp would run on a treadmill?
Yeah, they just were like, what if we put it on a treadmill? What if we...
So they were trying to get it to exert itself.
Exactly.
Right? Because hypoxia, right? So they wanted to use oxygen. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the first thought was treadmill. Underwater treadmill.
Maybe, but the main issue is that you need to measure how much oxygen it's consuming, and that's something that you can do in a tank like this by taking measurements of the dissolved oxygen in the water before and after you have the shrimp in there. You know.
Okay.
And you can see
all right.
at the beginning of this video, they drop the shrimp in, and as soon as like it's down, it kind of just sits. It's kind of like, I'm kind of scared. I don't know what's going on. And then they turn on
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
treadmill.
look
The treadmill starts to move.
And
It's me at the gym.
yeah, it's exactly right. And basically what they find out here is that this particular disease causes them to have a lot more trouble to breathe when you are also combined with like climate change induced water conditions. So this is the shrimp that we eat. This is Atlantic white shrimp is one of the shrimps that's important to has economic importance. So what they're studying is a food supply issue that is affected by climate change.
Food supply and climate change. It seems like important research to me.
Yeah.
Well, it also implies that like they probably have multiple of these videos. This is, I think, is the only video that we've all seen, or the one that went viral. At least.
Absolutely.
Like, I assume that they did a control with a healthy shrimp.
They absolutely did. You know, this is just an older. It's an older study.
Does it run faster?
It's an older study, so there's not today.
11. Okay.
All of these studies. The key.
There are multiple articles about shrimp running on treadmills.
Well, that's where I was trying to get to. Yeah,
No.
Pat, you were mentioning like there must be more videos of these. I'm like, you're exactly right, and in fact, there's.
This is why there was a colon treadmill study.
There's a cup. Yeah, there are a whole set of these. There's a whole bunch of these.
I'm sorry, I just saw that this paper that you have pulled up is a performance in shrimp and crabs treadmill studies, and James, if you don't have a crab running on a treadmill, I'm gonna be upset.
Look, this is where paywalls are bad. This is a whole area of research. They have blue crabs on treadmills. They have shrimps on treadmills. All of this to kind of understand, like, how do they deal, like, what is the type of stress that these have that changes in the environment can impose on these. And so, I don't know, like, I think this was already an interesting one, but I am from like the bio-inspired robotics field. That's what I did my PhD in, and a lot of the initial work in bio-inspired robots was, especially for walking robots, was that you needed to find a way to understand how things got around. And so I happen to know that in addition to shrimp on treadmills, there are a whole bunch of other animals that scientists have put on treadmills. And the rest of this episode is talking about all of the other animals that have been put on treadmills.
Scientists need to stop. Listen, while you've been putting this forward, I did share a video that you will need to share and that we do need to watch, which is from the College of Charleston.
Oh, you found it. Nice job.
Yes, yes, I did post the same link, Pat.
Did, okay.
Well done. Our Google skills
we found
combined. And here's our guy. This is beautiful. Thank you for this.
I am so much more upset by this treadmill than the first treadmill.
Oh my god.
Because
no.
This one is a little prison cage to keep this crab inside. And while this man is giving an interview in the background, they're just running the crab mill.
Wait, that moment, at what time is that? That's at like 16 to 20 seconds. The treadmill is running and the crab is in the background and he's just like facing forward. He's giving an interview while the crab is just like walking on this treadmill.
There's something
it's
about
so much smaller than you think. The treadmill is
it's also like a chain operated treadmill. Like it's small, but it is mechanically beefy.
There's something about the motor with the bike chain attached to it that makes it so much worse.
Oh my god. We're gonna pause at 45 seconds on this video. Oh my goodness. The gearing. And then the fact that it is just on a standard like plastic cart,
like rolling around.
Yeah,
it is not. It is in it's in like the plastic lid to a bin. It is the most hacky thing.
Looks like it is
so good.
on top of the same type of carts that like we used to use as busboys at a breakfast restaurant.
That's exactly
like,
what
it's the same cart.
It's the same cart.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the same cart.
Gotta apply proper torque to your crab.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, and they've got the rubber bands around its they have rubber
Claws,
bands around
so it
its
doesn't
claws.
attack them while they force it to run.
Oh my god. It's so good. Good
Yeah,
find,
I mean that's
y'all.
hey, that crab is in a pinchy mood.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Hey,
yep.
I would be too.
Crab's
I
not
don't
pleased.
want to be on a like I don't want to be on a treadmill underwater against my will. Great. The next one is somebody put a vampire bat on a treadmill.
What the fuck?
Oh, this is more horrifying. Oh, I don't like this one at all.
Good. Oh yeah, he's got.
Oh, look at it. Oh no.
The way it runs is terrible. Oh my
Why
god.
are you showing this? Why did they do this? That's not how bats go places.
Oh, that's this is why pterosaurs were considered
Yeah.
horrifying. Just look at the way it
Yeah.
uses its
Oh.
wings as feet. That is not okay.
It looks like a monster from Pacific Rim. It
Yeah.
looks like the monsters from Pacific Rim.
You have to have context. You can't just show me images without context.
Yeah.
Why are they doing this?
This one I actually don't have any context for. I didn't.
What
read
the fuck
paper
are you
for this
talking about?
one.
That's the whole show.
That's the. All right. So yeah, that
The
one's
premise
just a
of this
vampire
show is
bat.
that you're allowed to show me your science freak shit if you explain it to me.
Oh, they have a metabolism.
Oh, it's a metabolism study. Okay.
It's a metabolism study. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's not what I'm going to spend a lot of time on. I just found that one. I liked it. So
You're a bastard.
The real one I want to show you is this.
What?
This.
It's always the bugs.
I'm going to hit play, and you're going to tell me what you
Always
see.
the bugs.
I
see an ant, which appears to be like, I don't know. I think it's harnessed.
I hope it's harnessed. I hope James hasn't found another skewered bug.
I believe this ant is harnessed, and it is on top of some sort of styrofoam ball, it looks like. And it is running as the ball moves underneath it.
Uh-huh.
I guess you could technically call this a treadmill. It's a real weird one, though.
This is a spherical treadmill, and I think it's such a cool thing.
I'm really far more intrigued by the harness they've put on this ant leash.
Absolutely. Are you seeing my PDF here? This one's really wonderful. There's so many good figures here. This is an ant on a spherical treadmill, which is a styrofoam ball that's being held up by compressed air. The title of the research article, it's from 2017. It's Naturalistic Path Integration of Cataglyphus Desert Ants on an Air-Cushioned Lightweight Spherical Treadmill. And if we go to figure 1, we can figure out what the hell they did. They have an image of this complicated, very sciencey looking platform that looks a little bit like the top of the Curiosity Mars rover, except on the top of it, you have what looks like a plate with a hole in the middle of it, and the top part of a styrofoam ball sticking out of it. And on top of that styrofoam ball is a single ant. That single ant is held in place with a just incredible little apparatus where...
Drop of glue!
Yeah. We have
An incredible apparatus known as a drop of glue.
You glued an ant to a robot.
Yeah. So essentially what they've done...
James, I'm going to hold you personally responsible for all of science for a moment. I'm going to need you to explain to me why scientists love just gluing insects to machines and calling that a new machine.
Well, this is literally like, I want the ant to not be too disturbed by me. I also need it to stay in one place while running. And not try to climb up the... Look, if you put an ant on a normal treadmill, here's the problem. The ant can walk on walls. And it can walk on every wall. And it will find every little crack and it'll escape through little cracks. So it's really hard to make an ant treadmill. So what you do is you catch one ant and You put a little bit of glue on its back, and then you attach a piece of dental floss, and then you glue the dental floss to a wire, which you then put in a glass tube, which creates a simple little bearing that you can then have the ant relatively freely rotate and move and like go up and down, move its body up and down, so it can have a normal ability of like relative motion, but can't move away from the center of this point. And then you put it on top of a styrofoam ball, and you track the motion of the styrofoam ball, and that tracks what the ant is doing.
What the hell, dude?
Okay, but here's my thought. Here's my thing, right? I don't have children. No children. I do have a nephew, and he is 7 years old. And if I found out that my nephew was going outside and gluing shit to ants, I would take him for a psych workup and never let him touch glue again.
I mean, that's the wrong answer. You should get that. You should get them a PhD.
Yeah. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff that happens, especially in insect research, that would get you in trouble if you were not doing in a lab. You know, clipping wings, like dissecting insects, drowning bees. You know how it is.
Okay, but why?
Weirdly, at this point, I do know how it is.
There's an incredible. This is a very cool study, because what they're doing is by having the ant exposed to its normal environment, they can track different modes of the ant moving around. And one of the important things is they wanted to understand how ants are able to navigate from one location to another when they're very, very tiny. They do have so there's theories about whether they use pheromones, whether they use signals from the environment, like they can remember landmarks. But what it turns out is that by studying these ants that are moving on this treadmill and having the whole apparatus sort of align with them so that they can feel like they are actually making progress in time, they find that they have different methods of getting around. They will walk in relatively straight lines when they have a smell for something, for food or whatever. They will then walk around kind of in random squiggles to search for whatever they're looking for. And once they have a food item that they've managed to get, they're able to then count their steps. And basically, it's called integrating their motion. They count their steps, and that allows them to find their way back home. And the way that they chose to do this is with this absolutely crazy. I'm pulling up figure S2, where they show how these treadmills were developed, and it looks like Terminator shit to me.
Ant Terminator.
Yeah.
It looks like nuclear physics. Because you have
these red lights, and you're sensing the reflectivity of the roughness of this styrofoam ball, which turns out also the styrofoam ball is hollow, because you have to make the inertia of it as small as possible. So they custom made these hollow balls, and then they have these ants running around on them, and they're able to get really close measurements of how far the ant would have traveled while it was walking on the ground. And just the videos are amazing. The video is so cool to me.
But really, if you told me that these images were somebody developing something to shoot protons at a uranium core, I would believe you without question.
It's that level of high tech. It's so cool.
You said they were counting their steps. I mean, I'm assuming that they don't know that the ant is counting. Are they saying it retraces the path that it took because they have the mapping data from the orb?
That's where it's a little hard to explain, because what they're doing is they are integrating the path that they took.
So do the ants use Roman or Arabic numerals when they're counting?
Neither. It's probably more like vibes. They're probably integrating the vibes.
Ant vibes.
You know, they're probably not counting, but they do have a sense of I went that way for that amount, for a little bit amount of time. I'm going to go the opposite direction for also a little bit amount of time, and then I'm going to search around in that area.
So can I ask, in that photo, the ant was outside. Is that integral to the study?
Yeah. They ran these tests both. They did it in both conditions, and they're like they found some differences in the way they behave, but they worked it. It seems that when they were out in the open field, the behavior was slightly more focused. Slightly more focused than it was when they were in the laboratory.
And they're traveling for like a smell or something. Are they on like a platform that moves towards the thing? Like how?
That wasn't totally clear to me, but that's okay. Again, okay. we're seeing how much I can.
I'm not worried about it.
We're seeing how little I can do here.
I'm not worried. I'm just seeing what's going on.
Yeah, extremely neat. Putting it on a spherical treadmill, and then just going out to the desert and tracking where that ant is going. Is wonderful to me.
We've got shrimp, crabs, bats, and ants so far.
I can't say that I loved any of them.
Get ready for more bugs. All right. So now I'm showing a post. This is a page. Not one study. There's actually a whole bunch of studies that are going to be encapsulated on this page, but I just want you to be familiar with this. This is from the University of California, Berkeley. And the page is titled "Unlocking the Secrets of Animal Locomotion." And the first image that we have here is
a silhouette of a cockroach.
Well, there's that.
No, it's much worse.
No, are y'all seeing what I?
Oh, sorry. I was just seeing the logo at the top. Now I see the horrifying image you're referring to.
Yeah, great. The image.
It was so terrible that you developed blindness and you refused to see it.
Well, yep, correct.
So in this picture is. In the foreground, is an acrylic box with a treadmill in it. Yep. It's about maybe 18 inches long, has a big cap on the top, and inside of it is a centipede that is itself at least 6 inches long.
And I'm going to pause you right there because also the very first sentence of this article is squeamish students might want to avoid Robert Full's lab. Yeah, man, I can see why.
Maybe you should have started with that sentence instead of with the horrible image of whatever this alien creature in a box is.
The guy behind it is named Robert or Bob Full. And Bob Full is the reason why I got a degree in bio-inspired engineering, because this guy,
I didn't know there was somebody we could blame for
it's his fault. He gave a TED talk back in like 2011 or something like that, talking about how they were studying different insects and particularly their feet to kind of figure out, like, try to zoom out a little bit and talk about what makes a foot. Like, what is a foot? What parts of a foot are important? So some things have squishy pads. We have toes that allow for a little bit of gripping. Other things have spines. Like, how important is an ankle or having multiple joints? These are all questions that you can ask from an evolutionary standpoint. But then also back to, like, if I'm trying to make a walking robot, based on like the conditions I want it to work in, what do I need to do to understand how its feet work? And so this is something that he and a couple other researchers really kicked off in the 90s. And one of the things that he did was he did a bunch of treadmill studies of insects. The ones that I think about the most, and the thing that like ended up like the modeling, that understanding how multi-legged animals move, came from studies of cockroaches. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any of the videos of this.
Bummer.
But what they found basically is that we have some photos on this page. But what we basically have in these photos, they're in black and white, a little hard to see.
Stop. I need to explain these things, and I was waiting for... Scroll up for a second. Scroll up.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one... We got a little cockroach that's on 2 feet sprinting, a bipedal sprinting roach, and he's off. Great.
Yeah.
Scroll down, please. Okay. Then we have this, which as you have been speaking, I started reading the context for it. What the hell are you talking about? Because we have 3 photos of a cockroach. One where he's just standing there. Another where he is being blown backwards. I'll get to that in a second. and then self-correcting and getting back up. And the descriptions explain that the reason that there is this sudden change in his position is because they have mounted, quote-unquote, a pellet-firing cannon onto the back of this. And then they fire the cannon to flip him over, and then he can get back. James, stop.
This is roach artillery.
Stop gluing things to bugs. Stop gluing things to bugs.
There's a long tradition of gluing things to bugs. I don't think we can stop at this point.
This is the best thing glued to a bug I've seen so far, though. Like
a cannon.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
It's a slippery slope.
It's roach artillery. It's pretty great.
All right. So here's the thing. Why did they do this? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Why the hell did they do this? I'm going to very clearly explain what they did in this study. They had cockroaches running on treadmills, and they used that to understand how they coordinate their legs, basically. Because if you think about it, if you have we have 2 legs, we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you're on 4 legs, it's a little more complicated. Horses gallop is like 2 legs on the ground at a time with an aerial phase at the beginning. Dogs walking have a kind of weird, have sort of also an alternating gait. But when you have 6 legs, it turns out that cockroaches and many other insects like ants have what is an alternating tripedal gait. So on the left side, they'll have 2 legs down, and on the right side, they'll have 1 leg down. And they'll take a step, and then for the next stride, they have 2 legs down on the right side and 1 leg down on the left side. So at every moment, they have 3 feet on the ground. And Pat, what do you know about a structure with 3 points of contact on the ground?
It is always stable.
It is always stable. And so
Yep, know that for sure.
That, plus the fact that they have springiness in these legs. The idea was that it makes it so that when they're running, if they're running very quickly and they get hit from the side, they can recover very quickly. They don't get like flipped over or knocked to the ground in the same way that a 4-legged animal or a 2-legged or bipedal human or other animal would.
Theoretically, if a cannon on their back exploded, they could keep running.
So what did we do? We load a cannon onto the back of a roach with a bunch of tracking dots on its back, like with a frame with a bunch of tracking dots on it. And then we explode a little firecracker on the back of the roach, and we see how long it takes to recover. And what they found is that those springy legs help resist that disturbance, which has actually like inspired a whole bunch of other research into robots.
This is the precursor to all those videos we see of Boston Dynamics where they're kicking the robot. It started with a cockroach with a pellet gun on its back. Sorry, that got put together in my head. That is literally the precursor to that, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
And to follow Pat's slippery slope argument earlier, when the robot dogs are chasing you down,
it started here.
It started here, folks.
That the same research group later on also looked at other aspects of how cockroaches get around because they're an easy thing to study, and we actually ended up knowing a lot about them. One of the things that they were curious about was how the hell do cockroaches get into all sorts of crevices, and what can we learn from that? And so
I don't want to learn anymore.
We are going to a publication in the Proceedings of the Natural Academies of Science, or PNAS, which is a really high-impact journal. So I'm going to show you a video of some very important research where they saw how small a crack could a cockroach get through. This is kind of like putting them on a treadmill, and it is just how well can they squish themselves through a tiny little crack.
Yeah, we should describe it. So it's there's like a little piece of metal that allows them to adjust how tall the opening is, and then the video is of a cockroach, which is slowed down and close up is far more compressible and wriggly than you would like it to be. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of works its way through.
Yep.
I don't like it.
The smallest crevice that they could get through was 3 millimeters. And what was the amount on that? It was that is in less than a second, it can compress its whole body, its body width by half. So it can squish itself down by half and get through 3 millimeter cracks. There are other ones where they do this at speed, and they saw how well it would do if you compress, if you had a long, like that's like one little crevice. Can they run in these spaces? And the answer is, in a 12 millimeter ceiling height, they absolutely can. At 9 millimeters, they absolutely can. At their body height, 6 millimeters, they are just as fast as. And here's this one is at. This is from one of the supplemental videos on this. I think that this article is open source, so you're welcome to go check this out.
See, the worst thing is I'm watching this video and my first thought was like, man, that's frighteningly fast. And then I saw the 10 times slowed written at the bottom, and now I think I need to go lie down.
Here's real time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They can quickly get through very compressed areas because they can squish their exoskeleton down by a lot. This one, they're just squishing this bug. They don't kill this bug. They just squish it down to show how much they can squish it.
What?
They can withstand forces up to 300 times their body weight without sustaining injury.
For our listeners, we are currently watching a cockroach being squished in a hydraulic press-like machine.
It is literally, it's the hydraulic press, like TikTok videos, except
a cockroach, and they don't squish it all the way.
Yeah, they just
they're just pushing on it.
Give it a squeeze.
They give it a squeeze because they're measuring how much can you push on it before it, like, without it being really injured. And the answer is many, many times its body weight. Over 300 times its body weight it can be squished by. And now that I've shown you all that, we're going to take a nice little deep breath, because I've shown you that one's kind of rough. That one's kind of rough and not really treadmills.
It's just that cockroaches are so gross, and I don't understand how knowing this helps me to keep them out of my house.
It's less that and more we can make a cool robot using it.
Yeah, see, that's not a good enough reason for me to be doing this.
Look at this cool robot that has an exoskeleton that you can crush way down. You can crush the robot by.
Oh, so what you're telling me is you've created government drones as small and fast and gross as cockroaches. Great, just what we needed.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's robots. All right, so here you go. Here's the assembly of the bio-inspired robot. This is really fun for me because the bio-inspired robot here is made by, this was a PhD project from Kaushik Jairam, who was a professor at University of Colorado Boulder, and it's somebody I know, and like this is what he did during his PhD, and the assembly process is really fascinating because they're actually using an origami style of assembly, where you are basically magnifying these tiny little the little motors that can only move a little bit, but using linkages made of paper or like thin materials. You can make a robot that similarly can be moved through confined spaces, a lot like the cockroach can. And then you have a cool robot.
The robot is admittedly pretty cool.
It's a cool robot.
Well, I'm going to go one further. So we're just seeing a video of this robot. If you're not going to click on the video, we're seeing a robot that is designed like the cockroaches are in many ways. Yeah, we see it take the compressed load. We see it like move through a space that's too small for it. And I will say is like it just wandering around on the table. It is kind of cute. I do kind of like it.
It reminds me a little bit of like the like wind up chatter teeth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like it's like a advanced version of those little hex bots. That sort of the vibrating little hex bots. It's a cute little robot. It looks more like a roly-poly or an isopod than it does.
Is for sure,
which
cuter
is better.
Those are better bugs.
Yeah.
Those are better bugs.
Much better.
Yeah, it is better. It is. It's better that it looks like that than it does the cockroach. But I love this paper because this is a great example of like biology informing robotics directly.
If the proposal of this study is to replace all cockroaches on the planet with these little robots, I'm in.
I would love that. I think everyone would be pretty happy if that were what we were going to do. It's hard to do this stuff at large scale, and I don't know that robots are going to ever be like something we have mass produced really in a way that is useful. But I'm going to show you one more cockroach on one more treadmill, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, man.
Sure.
And it's this. Return
what
of the...
the hell?
This is a video from the Pterodynamics lab at Johns Hopkins University. They have been studying the ways that cockroaches, and specifically cockroaches, they've been working really only with cockroaches, but I think there's some transferable information here. They have been looking at the ways that cockroaches get around complicated terrain. And what we are looking at is, if you ever seen like one of those, there's a puzzle ball that has like, it's a 3D maze that has like an acrylic shell on the outside and then another shell on the inside, and there's a bunch of blocks inside, and you basically have to hold this big ball and move a marble around inside the ball.
Yeah, they've basically made that.
But the difference is that this one is a lot like that ant study where they had the ant standing on top of the styrofoam ball, except here this thing is much bigger because it is for a cockroach that then walks around inside of this terrain ball, and they have a little tracker glued to the back of the cockroach, of course, which allows them to figure out how is this cockroach navigating this complicated landscape. And because it's spherical, they can just have it walk for as long as it wants to. And if you notice, the thing that they're really studying is like when you see the cockroach like moving through some of these tall bars on the right side, we're at like 40 seconds in. What you'll see is that the little tag on the back, you can see it twist, because it turns out that
it's turning sideways.
It goes sideways. And they have done some really interesting work looking at mathematically when does it choose to go sideways as opposed to like when does it choose to go through to traverse an obstacle a different way. Like how tall does the obstacle have to be? How flexible is the obstacle before it decides to go to twist as opposed to just run over the obstacle. Huh. So yeah, there's a ton of research research going into this. This is an incredible, just like a ridiculous looking device, but it's like it is a giant styrofoam ball with a cockroach walking along it, and the cockroach always
cockroach maze.
Yeah, it's giant cockroach maze. And
fascinating.
Like the same lab does similar work looking at how when do the cockroaches choose to climb versus run versus push through an object. And they do really, really interesting mathematical studies of this motion in a way that is kind of amazing. But fundamentally, they're just like putting obstacles. They're running cockroaches through obstacle courses, which is a little wild.
They sure are.
So Edie, we've been given a fascinating challenge on this episode because James wanted to do a grab bag of all of his freaky little bug and treadmill videos.
Yeah.
Right. Which, okay, but that means that we are, if we're going to put something on a scale, we don't have a particular research paper to put on the scale.
You have treadmills.
So we have to put the method of putting creatures on treadmills. We have to apply that to our ridiculous and our research scales.
I've handed you a challenge.
Let's start here. We saw a number of papers, right? Yep. Which of these do you think is the most ridiculous?
The most ridiculous?
The highest on our ridiculous scale. Which of these researches individually?
It's hard to separate it from the impact that way, but
oh sure.
Definitely. I feel like the ant glued to a needle is pretty ridiculous.
Blue ant is pretty high for me as well. with for some reason that's coming out above compressed cockroach.
Yeah.
Press.
Yeah, the cockroach press is pretty close.
Oh, thank you, James, for putting that video back on the screen.
Of course, I gotta give context. Like, make sure that everyone has context. You know, here's the ant on a leash on a styrofoam ball.
And I think that's the thing is like it's an ant glued to a needle, but that needle is also very much looks like you are walking your ant on a leash.
Yeah.
And
yep. There's a tiny string of dental floss, so there's a tiny leash.
It is absolutely the one out of all of these things where I walk into a lab and I see that and I go, "What are you doing?
What is happening here?"
And I don't know that putting a cockroach in the piston one. That one's.
Like I said, that is a very close number 2.
Yeah.
For me personally. Because I think we can take some peak ridiculously from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's where I'm proposing we get our ridiculous level here.
Yeah, and I think if we take ridiculous at just a face value, like this hits about a 4 for me. Like this is pretty ridiculous.
I was gonna say 3.
So I was gonna say 3.5, but it felt like rounding up was the option.
Here's why I say 3. I walk into the lab, I see this, and I go, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? I walk into a lab and they're making the spider grabby claw, if you recall. I close the door and I leave, right? Like, I ask no questions. Fair. This did elicit follow-up questions.
We did give that a 5, though, didn't we?
No.
No, we didn't?
Poop knife is the only 5 we've given.
That's fair. Okay.
No, you make a fair point. You make a very fair point.
And I guess we're learning the difference between a ridiculous of a 3 and a ridiculous of a 4 is, do I have follow-up questions?
Yeah.
What is a 5? I call the police? Like, what?
Well, no, see, because 5 circles back and you've got follow-up questions again, but yeah, it is to pursue legal action.
Yeah, you need to organize a union for these grad students. I understand.
Exactly. Somebody needs to do something about this right now.
Yeah.
Gosh, and then, I mean, like, the research for me here is the harder part to kind of categorize because, like,
I'll say that there's such a range here.
There's a huge spectrum,
and I'll also say that one of the things that is I have had a hard time bringing the biomechanics stuff. I think that a lot of the biomechanics stuff is really important to understanding some fundamental science about how things move through the world. That is not, and like, how do ants navigate to food and then come back to their home, which they're very good at. We don't really understand how they do that since their brain is the size of a grain of sand. That stuff is really important from a fundamental science kind of perspective, but like on our impact scale as we've defined it so far, it's not high.
Well, this episode in a lot of ways got started because of the shrimp treadmill video. And specifically in response to it went viral because the senator was like, "What is this stupid shit that is happening?"
So it was on the news.
Sure.
And
right.
I think that obviously our scale doesn't work on sort of like a group of things. So I think what I would like to imply here is that the lesson of this episode is that much research simply cannot be contextualized and judged from a 30-second video that you found somewhere. And the value of that research should not be judged based on, like, a grab bag episode of random videos.
Yeah, probably.
I will say I agree with your premise, but I do think James here has given us at least some indication with each of the videos that he showed us that there is more significant underlying research and like hypothesis happening beyond the 30-second clip we saw.
Yes, which is why I've got a weird proposal.
Yep.
My proposal for this episode for the concept of treadmills on bugs and crustaceans would be we keep that science level of a 4 because I think there's some real weird stuff in here. But my proposal for research is actually no entry.
No.
Yep.
No entry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that because it very much varies from experiment to experiment.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really valuable science going on in here.
Yeah. Putting a critter on a treadmill could potentially be an impactful research element.
Maybe.
Could be.
Or maybe you just glued an ant to a stick, you fucking freak. We are gonna have to get this photo out of the Discord because I can't look at this for the entire podcast.
I'm gonna remove it. Give me a second. I also think I'm gonna have to remove this image of vaping sheep because
Okay, that's fair.
it's disturbing me.
Yeah.
Well,
For the listener, our group chat is a disaster area right now because Pat found
It's unhinged.
Pat found an article about vaping sheep that may or may not eventually become an episode. It probably won't, but there's a lot of vaping.
it won't be an episode.
Oh my god. Anyway. Anyway,